Focus on your partner's strengths. Many times in relationships, we feed into weakness. We feed into our partner's weakness. This is your weakness. This is your weakness, right? And the pressure of it, right? Of the weakness, it really, really belittles our partnership and can even damage our partnership. We don't want our whole relationship to be about that. No, right? My weakness. Something's wrong with me because of my weakness. Something's wrong with them because of their weakness. No, we need to focus on their strength and focus on our strength. So when a weakness comes up, right? Let's say there's a moment of insecurity, there's a moment of doubt, there's a moment of fear. The strength is usually what gets us through it, not focusing on the weakness, not even focusing on that insecurity. It is the strength that helps us to move beyond that. We are not to dwell in these moments of weakness. No, we're meant to triumph beyond it. So how we really connect and build a relationship is through our strength. When we have awareness, right, to the person's inner world, in our inner world, right, that in both of our inner worlds, we have our own negative mind, our own positive mind, that is going to be different. But when we focus on the strength of that individual, basically we are allowing them to grow with us. When we focus on the weakness, a lot of times we are inhibiting them from really standing up and standing out and triumphing. A relationship should be about we're triumphing together. That's creative. Weakness is about the insecurity and the doubt, and I've seen women, that's all they talk about with their women friends is this man's weakness, right? We want our relationship to be creatively triumph. So when we focus on that person's strength and we focus on our own strength, what we're doing is we want bigger energy of triumph. We want bigger energy of fun and play and laughter, right? We want bigger energy to overcome these little insecurities or these gray moments of doubt and moments of fear and the shame and stuff like that. So when we hold this space of I'm allowing myself to focus on my strength, knowing that yes, these weaknesses that they come up, right? But I have awareness that I want to grow. Right? And I'm using my strength to grow beyond these weaknesses that may come up. Right? When we hold that space, we're allowing them to step forward. We're allowing them to move towards us. We're allowing them to grow. Allowing them to focus on their strengths and have triumph over their own sort of insecurities or their own negative mind. And then in turn, we start to feel more just passion and excitement, and we feel a lot more breakthrough in that sort of relationship dynamic. We feel growth, right? We feel like we're triumphing together. We're not belittling each other, damaging each other, right? Or agitating each other. We're going on the ride. Right? And when we focus on our strengths, a lot of times we're less offended, right? I'm offended by your moment of doubt or negativity. I'm offended that your insecurity is coming up. And then therefore, being offended, I should respond reactional, or I should respond overthinking everything and then get some sort of destructive communication going. No, when we're not offended by our moments of weakness, like where we overthink, oh man, I'm feeling a lot of insecurity, there's something wrong with you, something wrong. We don't do that, right? We're not getting offended, right? When we're not so offended by ourselves, right? Most importantly, right? By our own sort of feelings or by our partner, then we can start to really experience a bigger creative energy, right? We can experience more fun, because that relationship, that partnership that we're in is about fun. It's about happiness. It's about you're building something together, right? It's precious to you. You're building. It's beautiful to you, right? And anything that you're building, you want to. You want to see it grow, right? You want to see it move, triumph, from the early stages, and you want to just continue to see it get more, the layers and layers on it just get more beautiful. So in our partnership with this person, when we take everything seriously, right? Everything, the moments of insecurity, the moments of doubt, the moments of fear, everything gets so seriously. What happens is we get out of our body, we get out of our heart, and we get in our mind. And a relationship is not meant to be experienced in our mind. A relationship is meant to be experienced in our body. We're meant to be in our body, right? We're meant to be out and about, triumphing. We're meant to be in our heart, right? And our heart and our body is where we're not so much indulging in our weakness, right? That it just keeps playing out in our mind, and that just keeps going, and the pressure in our mind just gets so big. When we get into our body, when we get into our heart, we're wanting to create intimacy, we're wanting to bond. And how we do that is a lot of times through encouraging each other, right? To grow. We're encouraging each other, we're supporting each other to grow in what it is that really brings the light in them, that lights them up, right? That weakness always dissipates. It always dissipates the greater amount of love and the greater amount of fulfillment we have in our strengths and in our talents and gifts. The more fulfilled we are in our talents and gifts, the less weakness kind of lurking, right? It will literally dissipate. We don't even need to like look at it and just like kind of, sort of nitpick and get offended by it, right? The more that we have spiritual fulfillment, creative fulfillment, the more that we are fulfilled by our talents and gifts, right? The more that we're growing it and we're raising our self-worth and we're seeing it flourish, right, within us. The more that these weaknesses they just dissipate. They dissipate because when we give awareness to them, we're giving a triumph to it, right? We're recognizing it from a place of forgiveness and from a place of acceptance, knowing that we are free, right? We are free to explore. We are free to be on adventure. We are free to take our life lessons and to move it into a more beautiful and happy experience for us, right? And how we really create that connection from, the weakness that, we felt really, really belittled or really damaged or really let down, and we've been really in our head about it and felt so offended by our own sort of, weakness, right? And felt very blocked and just felt very unfulfilled, right? How do we move from that to like spiritual fulfillment? Is a lot of times when we start to feed ourselves talents and gifts that just purely bring joy into our lives, right? And when we really are in our joy, when we really are growing our joy, when we're really just letting it come through, we're showering ourselves, like filling up our own cup, our own gold chalice with the waters of our joy, whatever that may be, just expressing your talents and gifts, right? Then we start to water the land of our own life, and we water the land of this relationship. And there's nothing more beautiful, right, than in building your house. And you look outside your window and you're in this big field and there's just bluebells for miles and miles. There's nothing more beautiful than stepping out of, looking out your window of the house called your relationship and seeing that your land is so fertile because you have watered it. They have watered it. right? Through through filling up your cups, right? Filling up your cups with talent and with gift that is makes you feel special, and it's endearing, and it's who you are, and it's your groove, and it's your jazz, right? It's your inner world. It's how you really take care and nourish and bring your inner world into the most fertile and beautiful place. When we really kind of have that sort of rhythmic dance with our partner, right? All of these, the shames and the disappointments and the get doubts and the confusion, all these sort of like lurking weaknesses in the negative mind, they always will dissipate. They always will, because there's nothing more powerful than our talents and gifts being expressed and growing and being encouraged and supported within us and within the partner that we're with. Either it's a friend, either it's a lover, either it's a brother, right? So that when these moments come up, the negative mind is there, right? We allow that person to triumph over it. We don't need to like kind of add additional thought to what they're experiencing. We just allow them, right? We allow them to go through it, right? We allow them to, we encourage them to go through that moment, that whatever it may be for them, that could be an insecurity. We support them, right? We give them safety, right? But ultimately we allow them, right, to move it through, right? We allow them to move it through. Because everything wants to be moved through us. It doesn't want to be caught in our head. It doesn't want to be just kind of ripped apart, and it doesn't want to damage us. It just wants to move through us, right? And the space for these energies to move through us, of these moments of shame and disappointment and doubt, is when we are really focused on the joy, right? When we're really in a space of like, okay, I'm accepting joy, I'm accepting freedom, these energies can move through us, and sometimes we don't even know that they just move through us. Sometimes they just move through us and we're like, wow, like I didn't even really have a moment of like thinking of it all day long. It just happens to move through us, right? And we release it, and we start to feel even more freed up energy to triumph. So when we talk about like conscious partnership, it is very much about we are consciously wanting to move, right? We set an intention for this partnership that we want it to be very, very playful, and we want it to be very creative and constructive, right? And we are both participating in that, right? We're both applying that within our own sort of life, right? Within our own sort of practice of consciously, setting intentions for our own well-being, that, I'm going to really amplify my strength, right? So that I can really feel I'm more in my body, right? I'm more grounded in my body, I'm more grounded in my heart, and less in my head. And I start to feel like I feel more victorious. I feel like I'm triumphing. I just feel breakthrough. Because my life, my study, my mastery is just simply coming into the fulfillment of my talents and gifts, right? That is my muse, right? And whatever is my muse is gonna feed and nourish any relationship that I'm in, right? If I become the muse to my own life, right? I become the muse for my children, even for my parents, definitely for my partner, right? I become the muse, right? And there's nothing more just endearing and soulful and just fun and just happy, right? Than to actually have a muse, right? Have a muse in a relationship. Be the muse, right? Especially if you're the woman and you're dating a man. Be that muse, right? Because there is nothing more just exciting and passionate and adventurous and just triumphing than having that muse, right? Having that muse that really paints and draws and sings up the world, right? Focuses on the strengths, talents, right? And allows his weaknesses to literally just dissipate. Allow them to just kind of flow in and just to flow out without getting offended or agitated or let down or beaten up, right? Or damaged by it. So when we focus on our spiritual fulfillment, especially as a woman, when we focus on being the muse to our own life, what we're doing, especially for the man, is that we're like, okay, right, I am wanting to build a beautiful life with you. I'm wanting to build talents and gifts that just reach higher levels with you, right? I want to see our land. I want to water our land, right? So a lot of times when we're just caught in our head, we forget to water our land, right? We forget to water ourselves. The partner forgets to water themselves. And then one day we wake up and realize our land is not watered. We're not growing anything. We're not building anything together, right? So that's why we definitely, when we get into that, being the muse, especially if you're one, being the muse to your own life, right? And a man, when he focuses on being the builder, right? He's the one that builds the house, right? That's his archetype. Builds the house, right? Which is about creating safety. It's about creating an environment in which a lot of joy and music and dance and talent and gift can gather around. Right? That is what we truly desire, right? And it is a part of really coming into our conscious awareness that it's becoming more conscious as an individual, right? It's kind of like self-psychology, becoming more conscious of how truly gifted, how truly talented we are, right? And really feeding that and continuing to feed that to the point where we just naturally, our self-worth is rising. Just naturally, we start to, neutralize, not get so offended, right? We start to see we start to see ourselves moving beyond the challenge and start to move more into the resilience, into the tolerance, into the patience, into the ability to have compassion and the ability to be discerning, right? And the ability to really trust yourself, to have intuition, right? To let yourself play with the life rather than, hysterically laugh with the life rather than getting like caught in your throat and it caught in your heart and it caught in your head and it caught in your gut. Right? Just to play with the energy. And we tend to, again, be a lot more constructive, creative, and we also tend to be a lot more, energy within the relationship, whatever it may be, tends to move, right? It tends to move through us in a more prosperous and in a more visionary way, rather than it getting caught everywhere inside of us, and then we getting choked up, and then yeah, right. So I'm gonna leave you guys with these thoughts.